South Carolina a winner tonight on the road at Missouri, 31-13. The Gamecocks rally from 10-0 down to whip Missouri. Emerson Phillips with Colin Taylor here on Gamecock Central Radio for post-game reaction. Colin, Deebo Samuel got it started with the 97-yard kickoff return, and Deebo made history tonight with that return.
Right, I think he was the first player since 1957 to take kickoffs back for touchdowns in back-to-back games. So one of the best ever at Carolina in terms of special teams, in terms of wide receiver probably in general. So huge game for South Carolina. Obviously didn't get off to a great start. The offense seemed a little stagnant, a little rattled. But they kind of got it together. They had that big 3-4 play swing in the middle of the first half there with the kickoff return and then the interception and the Deebo Samuel jet sweep for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, 10-0 goes to 14-10, and they really didn't look back from there. Ran the ball really well in the second half. It's a huge win. For right now, the Gamecocks are atop the SEC standings. The SEC only played one game. But right now, South Carolina's at the top with 1-0. And it's going a long way, obviously, toward bowl eligibility and maybe being a dark horse in the SEC East.
So Deebo Samuel with the 97-yard kickoff return, the second week in a row that he's got a kickoff return touchdown, and he's the first Gamecock to have kickoff return TDs in 2 consecutive games since King Dixon all the way back in 1957. Dixon later served as South Carolina's athletic director. Colin, that started off a huge night for Gamecock special teams. We could talk about the offense and the defense, and we will tonight, but I think we got to talk about special teams. The kickoff return touchdown by Deebo Samuel. Ulrich Jones blocked a field goal. Joseph Charleston had a 73-yard punt. And then Javon Charleston turned in what Will Muschamp said after the game was the play of the game when he was in punt coverage, forced his blocker into the Missouri return man, and that forced a Missouri fumble, which the Gamecocks recovered in the second half. Muschamp said that was the play of the game.
Special teams, obviously, not only, put some points up on the stat sheet, obviously, with Deebo's thing, but they were momentum swings. And the Charleston forced fumble, I guess you would call it, came right after the South Carolina went 3 and out and really didn't take any time off the clock in the fourth quarter. They get the ball back. They're able to get to midfield and flip the field on them, which was huge. And then the Javon Kinlaw blocked field goal gets, it's blocked right before halftime. That's the thing that they don't score on that drive. South Carolina still takes a 14-10 lead. These were massive momentum swings that kind of kept the Gamecocks ahead of Missouri just a little bit. Every now and again, South Carolina would just have one of those, like, Missouri be building some momentum and then they have a big specialty gap or something like that. So South Carolina really capitalized on a lot of mental mistakes from the Tigers tonight, which is what you want to see from a team. You want to see them capitalize on those kinds of mistakes.
Colin, was it Javon Kinlaw that blocked the field goal? It was originally credited to Ulrich Jones.
Right, they credited it to Ulrich Jones, then about 10 minutes later said, no, it was Javon Kinlaw. So Javon Kinlaw gets his first career field goal block in his second ever game at South Carolina.
Yeah, I was headed to Kinlaw next. He batted 2 passes tonight, one of which led to the Bryson Allen Williams interception, part of a Gamecock defense that got off the field on third down tonight, Colin, holding Missouri to just 5 of 14 third down conversions. So Kinlaw batted 2 passes at the line of scrimmage in pass rush, and he blocked the field goal tonight. Kinlaw making noise for the Gamecocks tonight at Missouri.
Right, and, Muschamp said earlier in the week the turnover margin, third down defense, and red zone defense are going to be huge for this team. South Carolina was +3 in the turnover margin, limited them to 5 for 14 on third down. They were 1 for 3 in the red zone with just 1 field goal. So that was huge for them. The defense really, they gave up a lot of yards, which was kind of expected tonight against a really good Missouri offense that put up points in their premium. But once Missouri got close to the end zone, that defense buckled down and really limited them and didn't let them get anything off. So they let Missouri have as many yards as they could in, in the middle part of the field between the 20s, but after that it was kind of slow going for him.
Freshman Jam Williams with his first career interception tonight. Colin Muschamp talked about that play after the game, a switch coverage with Williams and another Gamecock defensive back, and Jam Williams just made a spectacular play on that interception on the sideline.
Right, it all happened so quick. They drop back, try to throw an out route, and all of a sudden Jam Williams is running off to the sidelines with the ball. You really couldn't, it was so quick that it happened, and then a play later, Deebo Samuel celebrating in the end zone. So that obviously sparked a big momentum swing for South Carolina. That put them up 4 points, and, they really didn't look back from there. They just kind of kept their foot on the pedal and kind of rode this one out, and it turned into a pretty lopsided win.
Yeah, it did. 31-13, the final. South Carolina over Missouri tonight. Colin, Will Muschamp said earlier this week that the Gamecocks wanted to run the football more. He said they would run the football more. And the Gamecocks finished with 40 carries for 172 yards, and it was Tyson Williams leading the Gamecocks in rushing with 14 carries for 78 yards, including that big 32-yard run that went down to the Missouri 1-yard line, set up a Gamecock TD.
Yep, and, they said that they wanted to go with a hot hand, and Williams definitely had it tonight, kind of along the 32 that probably should have scored on, but he had some great blocking. They said they schematically shifted to more of a zone blocking scheme in the second half that, Tyson and Rico really play well on. And it worked for them. They were able to run the ball for over 120 yards. 123 actually before the QB kneel. But it worked well for them. They really succeeded in getting some push on the offensive line in the second half, which they really didn't do in the first half as much. And they wore them down.
Gamecocks dominated time of possession tonight, 37 minutes and 46 seconds of possession for South Carolina, 22-14 for Missouri. We talked about keeping that Missouri offense off the field that scored 72 points last week. Gamecocks did a great job of that. Jake Bentley, 18 of 28 passing, 187 yards, and 1 touchdown. And, Colin, for all the folks that were upset that Hayden Hurst wasn't involved last week, they got to be jumping for joy tonight.
Yeah, and he had that big catch down the seam. And cut it upfield for a touchdown, had a few other big catches here and there, and, really worked well in the blocking game, too, with that offensive line. He lined up kind of behind the tackle and was able to kind of build some steam for running backs on that side of the field. I think they're still going to try to get him involved a little bit more, but that was a good building momentum for Hayden Hurst heading forward.
Colin, that sets up South Carolina's home opener next Saturday night, 7 o'clock kickoff against Kentucky. Kentucky trailed in the fourth quarter today against Eastern Kentucky, but found a way to win that game 29-16. So Gamecocks coming home. Williams-Brice will be packed next Saturday night for the Kentucky Wildcats.
It should be a pretty massive one. I think South Carolina really has to beat Kentucky if they want to kind of get back up into the upper half of the SEC East. They lost the last 3 to Kentucky, and I think that's a team that they're looking to be able to beat if they want to kind of get back to where they were a few years ago.
Colin Taylor was at the game tonight, and he is with us on Gamecock Central Radio from Columbia, Missouri. Colin, safe travels home.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Colin Taylor, Gamecock Central staff writer, and I'm Emerson Phillips. This is Gamecock Central Radio.